is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are here once again for another edition of the Conscious Approach video series on YouTube. Thanks to everybody out there who has been subscribing to the channel and following along with us on this harrowing journey as we continue to kick this logical content. Before we get things kicked off, a few disclaimers as always. We are now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. For all of our audio listeners out there who are not necessarily always in position to check us out on YouTube, we are now available in those spaces as well. Just trying to be available in all places possible. We are now also sharing our content on the Conscious Approach TikTok page as well. So if you are active over on TikTok, check us out over there at Con Approach, CONAPPROACH. And just as a general thing that I would like to say, and I've been saying this for a while, but I do want to repeat it because I do think it's important. We don't take for granted the value of your digital currency. I consume a fair bit of content between podcasts, YouTube, and the like. And I probably actually subscribe/follow not even 10% of all of the content that I come across and the content creators that I regularly pay attention to. So for me to make the effort to actually click on that button means that I find value in what they are delivering, so much so that I want to be a part of their community. So your digital currency is important. We don't take it for granted. It's earned and not given, so I don't expect for you to just hand it over. It is a powerful resource, and we do covet it very much so. So to everybody out there who has been hitting that subscribe button, following along with us on the channel, it does not go unnoticed, and we sincerely appreciate it. So I just wanted to say that because I like to get that across to anybody who might think that we don't take for granted the fact that you might actually be so inclined as to subscribe to the channel. And to anybody else who has not done so, if this is your first time checking out what we do here on the channel, this is how we like to kick it. As Jay-Z once said on an unreleased Blueprint track, my rhymes are like a Rubik's Cube. Every album's a color, but sometimes I F up the other color. And that just goes to say that not every video is going to be perfect. Not every video is going to be great, but we stand on all of it. We don't take stuff down. We don't delete stuff. It is a record of history for this channel and for the various pieces of content that we like to deliver. So whether you like or dislike or hate, despise, love, whatever it is that we do, we stand on it, and we do stand on business in that regard. So that's just how we like to roll here. We are not trying to cultivate a cult. We're just trying to have some interesting conversations and kick around some interesting ideas. So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get things kicked off. Some interesting things to talk about this evening. The first thing that we are going to get into is Master P, who has officially retired from music. So he recently performed at Essence Fest down in his home city of New Orleans. And during his performance, he announced that he was officially retiring from music and that he was going to be focusing the lion's share of his energies into his efforts in the sports world. More specifically, he recently accepted a position to be president of basketball operations at the University of New Orleans. Master P, of course, has history with sports and athletics. He was actually he is one of the few hip hop guys who actually was really good at basketball. At one point, he was on practice squads in the NBA. I think off the top, I think
The
one
Raptors.
was the Raptors, and I think the Hornets too. I think he was also on the practice squad for the Hornets at one point. So Master P is actually really good at basketball. It's always been a passion of his, and he's now the president of basketball operations at the University of New Orleans. And in making the announcement that he is sort of focusing the majority of his energies in that arena, no pun intended, he also announced that he was retiring from music. But what I found interesting with his comments about retiring from music is why he said he's retiring from music. And he mentioned how there's a lot of negativity around the world of hip hop, and no one seems to want to talk about the positive stuff. There just seems to be a lot of hoopla around the negative stuff. And so he just no longer wants to be a part of that ecosystem and instead wants to leave it behind and move on and start really diving into and focusing pretty much exclusively on sports. So I thought that that was pretty interesting, and I thought that it would be worth us talking about on the channel. So first, to provide a little context, we'll go ahead and share this article. This says Master P explains why he's officially retiring from music. Master P has confirmed that he's retiring from music after accepting a job as the president of basketball operations at the University of New Orleans. Speaking with people ahead of his Essence Festival performance, he admitted that the set will be his final show. He ended up taking the stage at the event on Sunday night. My last show has to be with Essence. It has to be big, a celebration, he told the outlet. It's a blessing now to be able to transition into doing something that's bigger than me. Being a servant is my most important job. I feel like hard work got me here. And even though I didn't know I was going to get this far in life, God spared my life and put me on this journey. That chapter closed itself with maturing and growing up and not being afraid to grow. He added that the decision was hard to make, but explained, I feel like this is the next phase of my life. There is a lot of negative stuff going on in hip hop, and people don't want to talk about the positive things. They say when you know better, you do better. That's the phase I'm on. I'm fine with growing up. Master P originally accepted the position at the University of New Orleans back in February. During an introductory press conference at the time, he said of the gig, we've come a long way. Growing up in New Orleans when I was a kid, I looked at the University of New Orleans basketball program as probably one of the best in the country. Every kid wanted to come to the Lakefront Arena and be a part of this. He continued, I'm just so appreciative and blessed that God has given me this opportunity to rebuild this program. We're going to change this. This is our culture. This is our team. This is our family. We want to give that family love out here to the city to bring the people back where it should be at. Master P previously attended the University of Houston on a sports scholarship and even spent brief stints with the Charlotte Hornets and Toronto Raptors in the 1998 and 1999 preseasons. So, yeah, so those are Master P's words, talking about wanting to move on and officially retiring from music and getting away from the negativity in hip hop to focus on sports. So, what did you think about Master P's comments in his retirement? You muted. You muted, Dylan.
My bad. Um, yeah, man, I'm not surprised. Um, I feel as though I feel as though Master P has already been retired from music. I can't even think of the last time I actually heard a Master P track, um, anything that he was affiliated with. So, I guess to formally retire, I guess, but um, you really don't see rappers um saying that they're retired for the most part. I guess here or there they'll say that they don't plan on making nothing else, or but to just come out here and just say, I'm retiring as if um you know people actually are gonna miss him. Uh, I, I find that interesting because I've over the years I've grown to appreciate the business mind of Master P, um, or so the perception of his business mind, because he talks a good game, but his track record is horrendous. The only person that wins in Master P contracts is Master P. Um, his track record speaks for itself. Hell, even with the Essence Fest thing, he had a little faux pas with Mia X, Mama Mia, and her whole thing was like, "Look, bro, I'm not getting on stage. Like, I'm not doing this." It was all for Master P and his ego, and he was all like, "Hey, man, just put your fatigues on and get hype, And this is my retirement, But she didn't want any parts of it, because she just feels as though she's just clickbait for him, in a lack of better words. So, and amongst other people who've had bad business deals with him, including his own son. So, Master P, he walks around, he talks a good game. He's always the victim. Everybody around him everybody around him never wants to work. He's the only one that wants to work or has the right business mind, and I'm tired of hearing about it. So, his music was never good. He's probably got 2 songs that I listen to where it's just him. I don't even think he's just on those songs. I think it's features on those 2. But the beats go crazy. So honestly, as far as when Master P came out, really wasn't a fan. I thought he was not good. But over the years, like I said, I appreciated his business acumen, but then more time has waned, and I'm not really a fan of that either. So overall, it's a good riddance from the rap game. Whether you're making deals or doing deals that don't pan out for your artists, or you're not putting nails on chalkboard and trying to rap anymore. Either event, I'm good on the other side of that. So hopefully he makes a good business endeavor out of being head of basketball operations. But I'm telling you right now, if there's some type of scandal or something like that dealing with NIL funds or whatever, don't be surprised. Not to say he's going to steal or anything, but if he promised these kids something that they never got, don't be shocked. But what are your thoughts, man, on Master P saying that, hey, man, he's done with the rap game and he's calling it quits? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, in terms of the music industry, Master P preceded Birdman. Well, no, Puff was before Master P. So I guess Diddy was the original blueprint for being a shisty manager of a record label in terms of siphoning the resources of his artists and eating off the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say Master P was another individual who was similar in that regard, along with Birdman. Hence
Mm-hmm.
why there are so many artists now who complain about their working relationship with him after all this time.
Mm-hmm.
But I found what he said as to the reason why he's retiring interesting. Talking about how there's so much negativity in hip hop and how he, uh, is he seemed disenchanted by the fact that no one ever seems to want to talk about the positivity. They just want to kind of deal in the negativity when it comes to that particular aspect of the music industry. I thought that was a bit ironic given his history with the kind of music he was making when he was at his peak. I would argue, and it is debatable, but I would suggest that he contributed to some of the negative energy
100%.
during his prime,
100%.
during his peak. But I will be consistent. I have said often on this channel that every human has the capacity to undergo a paradigm shift. And if this happens to be the point in which Master P has undergone a paradigm shift, I hope he sticks with it. And I hope he doesn't carry any of the so called negativity that he claims to now be above from being a part of the music industry into how he deals with his sports endeavors. And you brought up a point about weird NIL deals, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Is I really do hope that at some point we don't learn that there was a illegal exchange of funds, or you know something was he was getting something taken off the top with boosters, or whatever he ends up developing as president of basketball operations at the University of New Orleans. I just hope that it's within the parameters of the rules and that it's on the up and up. Because if it comes out that there was any sort of illegality or any weird stuff going on, I kind of feel like within a sports context, in a roundabout way, he would be cultivating that own brand of negativity. Thus, he would look a bit like a hypocrite in terms of talking about how he's walking away from music to escape negativity. Because if you're leaving music to escape negativity, but then you cultivate your own brand of negativity within the sports context, I'm not exactly sure that you did anything different. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's going to happen. I'm not speculating that it will happen. I'm just saying that I hope it does not happen. Because there's a tendency for a lot of these individuals to do a lot of double talking, and they sing a good tune, but then they go right back to doing what they've always been doing. And the King Dingaling individual that I'm thinking of when it comes to this is Meek Mill, who, and I'll never let this go. I'll never let this go. The fact that this guy stood up in front of a crowd of enlightened intellectual people at a media conference and talked about how the music industry profits off of negativity. And he essentially contextualized his comments the within the notion that he's aware of this and wants to make changes to do things for the better. But then he proceeds to make the same music that he's been making, and he proceeds to put out the same kind of music, thus profiting off of the same exact negativity that he was railing against when he was making his public appearances, doing his albums with his boy Rick Ross, Shaq and Kobe, talking about shooting and snitching and prison and the same old stuff that he's been talking about for the lion's share of his career, engaging in all types of victimhood, but then wanting to talk about how the music industry profits off of negativity. Well, then, Mr. Meek Mill, why don't you be a change agent and make different kinds of music so that you're no longer contributing to this ecosystem that profits off of negativity? Instead, you choose to go right back into the studio and make more music centered around said negativity. So, a lot of these artists, these rappers who can't get out of their own way and double talk, they tend to put their foot in their mouth and come out looking like an oxymoron, a walking hypocrite. And for Master P's sake, because I can understand the sentiment, if he felt as though continuing to try to be a part of music was inviting all of the negativity that he wants to steer clear of, and he feels as though this is his vessel to be able to do it, I'm going to tell him good luck, and I hope it works out. I hope his passion for basketball is what remains the focus, and uplifting and putting young men in positions to prosper and do well in their own respective futures. I hope that that remains the focus, and I hope that he does not revert back to bot it Master P and take some of that energy over into the sports world. Because I would say that era of music was largely, not largely, but it played a hand in creating a lot of the negativity that he speaks of. So, hopefully he does not double talk himself. Hopefully he doesn't pull a Meek Mill, and hopefully he doesn't get into these positions when it comes to running sports programs. But he's essentially doing the same thing that he was doing when he was running No Limit.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so, man. Fingers crossed, bro. But like I said, man, this dude's got a track record. So I'm not wishing ill will on a man, but yeah, I'm with you in the sense of don't bring that energy over here, because like I mentioned in my first statement, he's got a pretty strong track record from people that were very close to him that don't have very nice things to say about him, and he'll always spin it because he's a spin artist on how those people never really wanted it as much as him, or they didn't want to work, or
They
all this
didn't
other
have what
stuff.
they didn't have what it took. Yeah.
Right, all of that mumbo jumbo. But yeah, man, that's the sounds of somebody who's a shisty business person. So yeah, hopefully he's on the up and up, man, and don't mess with these kids' lives and future. Even though it's a university in New Orleans where it's not very much talent that comes through there. I'm not knocking the guys that go there, but I mean, there's no Power Five program, Power Four, or whatever they want to call it nowadays. So, but yeah, man, just wishing those dudes the best. But at the bottom line, Master P is a bottom line guy, and I'm pretty sure if it was not him, it is well known at this point, though. But people talk about how there's no money to be made in the music industry, period. Anyway, so him making a shift from you're eating what you kill, as far as a music executive or artist or whatever he would be in the music industry. There's not very much money out there, streaming, all these other things, and come on, who's signing to No Limit nowadays? So there's really no money for him to be making in the music industry anymore. even if he wants to get fat off old streams and stuff like that, I mean, we've already covered when Snoop was talking about how many billions of streams he got and how much pennies he actually received for it. So Master P will be making no money in the foreseeable future in the music industry. So him jumping ship is not more this situation where he's reached some zenith in his life, and he's actually at some zen state where he's like, you know what, it's time for me to give back. No, it's time for you to get a stable check. That's what this is. And so he played around with the NFL thing as far as being with the sports situation, and now him getting into this. I see this as a stable check. Back when I was a cab driver, man, you know, I enjoyed the hustle, man. I was out there, man, making that cash. And you know, when Uber and Lyft became a thing, and you know, the competition got stiff, money wasn't what it used to be. And as much as I love to be out there and making my own money, making my own schedule, air quote, it got to a point where it was like, hey, man, me doing all this hustling is hustling backwards. I'm actually losing free time for how much I actually have to hustle to pay bills. So at some point, man, I was sitting there while I'm out there on my hustle, you know, reminiscing on a stable check, only working 40 hours a week. And so Master P has a lifestyle to keep up with, and rap ain't gonna pay those bills. So him getting a stable check and him doing something that he would want to do, I would assume, is something that's in athletics, something with basketball. So yeah, this is him wanting to get a stable check. And on top of that, I don't know how about it you can be when you're the head of some basketball program. So it's also a conflict of interest as well. It's not a really good look when you got rappers out here talking about they sell about a pound, and you around here trying to save kids at some youth program. So
It happens though. I mean, you know, that's the weird thing. Not to cut you off, but it happens. How many of these guys are making songs about murder, death, kill actively, but then they're funding youth programs and trying to help kids out? You know, it's a weird, like, vexing paradox of a dynamic, but you know, I don't see how he can be an exception. I think he can definitely fall into such a thing. That's why I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt in saying I hope that that does not happen. Because it's weird, you know, you start entering into a world now, because I think that this might be the first of many in terms of athletic programs, you know, looking to fill certain vacancies within the program now that, you know, college athletics has become pay to win. It always was pay to win, but now it's officially pay to win. And so now that these, you know, programs are creating vacancies for general managers and president of, you know, operations for the programs, I think Master P potentially serves as the first of what I think will be many in terms of programs reaching out to record label executives, or, you know, people like him, people who are influential when it comes to the community from a cultural standpoint. People like, not specifically Diddy, but people in his position. Oh, they run a record label and they connect with the community because they're in the hip hop space and they have a good business acumen. So let's put them in positions to run our program. I feel like this is the first of what will eventually be many. And I think that their track record, to your point, when it comes to the world that they come from, is highly questionable. And so I just think about the possible ramifications if a lot of those same business sensibilities from the world of hip hop get taken into things like college athletics, when you're dealing with the lives of young people who are on the straight and narrow, who don't come from the street life per se, and who are just trying to play sports in order to create a viable future for themselves. And so I wouldn't want individuals such as him or others in his position to potentially compromise that because they want to bring Bad Boy Records or No Limit Records or Death Row Records or whatever records into the college athletics area.
Yeah, you know, so you know, whenever he lands that 4-star recruit that's from Louisiana, he went somewhere originally, you know, didn't get any playing time, but say, hey man, I'm gonna transfer and play with Master P, you know. And then when that kid eventually transfers and talks about how Master P did him wrong. Master Master P's gonna come out and say he didn't want it enough. Sometimes some guys say that they want it, but they have to put in the work on the side, and they don't want to do that. So, he's gonna do all his little speeches. So I'm already ready for.
I wish him all the best of luck.
Yeah, man. So I wish Master P the best of luck, man, with all of this. So he entertains me. He entertains me now as just he's a character to me, as a character of a music executive, and I don't really look at him with that business mind that I once did. So hopefully this character pans out for those who like the University of New Orleans. Hopefully this has a positive impact somehow. I don't want this to be a weird situation, but if it ends up being one, wouldn't be shocked in the slightest.
Right, I feel that. I just hope everything works out for these kids who are under his stewardship while he's at that position. Again, I'm not saying that it's not going to go well. I'm not saying that it will go left. I'm not predicting that, but I'd be remiss if I didn't cop to the fact that the thought crossed my mind of what this could potentially mean. And like I said before, I feel like if what he does achieve a certain modicum of success, you'll see the model replicated, where there will be more and more of these types of positions in college athletics, specifically basketball and football, reaching out not necessarily to people who, from a merit standpoint, it makes sense to give them these kinds of jobs, but reaching out to people such as him who have some business acumen, albeit within a different context, but have some sort of cultural relevance. And so let's go there to try to make that work. And it is what it is. If that's the way they want to do it, then fine. I just hope that it doesn't compromise the lives of these kids who are trying to make something of themselves by playing sports. So I just don't want to see, like I said before, I don't want to start seeing college athletic programs getting run like record labels. And you got and if he talks about wanting to get into this because there's too much negativity in hip hop, then I would just caution him against any sort of action or behavior or form of business or any sort of decision that would be interpreted as bringing some of that same negativity over into the sports world, even though everything you said suggests that you're not about that. So I'm looking out for that, but I did find his comments interesting, and I hope that it works out. Mostly for the athletes, not necessarily for him. I hope he sticks to his word, of course, but I don't want to see the athletes getting caught up in some BS.
Right. So, hey, best of luck to y'all out there in Nolans. You know what I'm saying? The know you. But yeah, man, I want those kids to have a bright future, bro. So, if he provides that for them, I'm all for it. So,
yeah. Shouts out to the University of New Orleans, man. Y'all got y'all work cut out for you.
Hey, man, you heard about what Sacramento's doing? Sacramento State. You got to look into that.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
They're dropping big time bread. So we'll see. With the age of NIL, anything can happen. So
yeah, exactly.
They're probably making their stab right now.
Yeah.